A crown crashes to the ground, golden, heavy, and stained with blood. In the distance, 1,000 voices rise, chanting a single name. Through smoke and fire, a weary figure steps forward, armored yet resolute. His eyes reveal exhaustion, but his stance speaks only of triumph. He once held the world in his hands, but no one ever asked what he sacrificed to wear that crown. Because behind every throne lies a hidden war, a price unseen. Before we uncover the stories of 4 extraordinary kings, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, if the power to rule the world rested in your hands, would it change you? Subscribe now, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about history, about power, and about destiny itself. This was not a king of palaces. He was a king of horizons, a man of vision, of conviction, chosen not by bloodline, but by faith, justice, and unshakable strength. His name was Dhul-Qarnayn. The Quran mentions him briefly, yet his legacy echoes through centuries. He was not a conqueror for the sake of conquest, but a builder, a protector, a restorer of balance where darkness thrived. Some called him the one with 2 horns, perhaps because his dominion stretched east and west, or perhaps because his reign embodied 2 great pillars, conquest and protection. We first see him journeying west, to where the sun sinks into a burning sea. There, he finds a people lost, lawless, leaderless. He listens before he rules. His justice is firm, but never cruel. His strength is great, but never unjust. His sword moves only in the service of what is right. From there, he travels east, where the sun rises upon a people without shelter. Again, he listens. Again, he leads. But it is between 2 mountains that his story shifts into legend. In a narrow valley, he encounters a civilization trembling in fear. They are not afraid of famine, nor of war, nor of disease. They fear something far more terrifying. Gog and Magog, Yajuj and Majuj, forces of chaos who ravage cities, tear down walls, and leave nothing but ruin. The people beg him, build us a barrier, protect us. We will pay you in gold, in silver, whatever you ask. But Dhul-Qarnayn seeks no wealth. He seeks sincerity. He replies, what my Lord has granted me is better, but lend me your strength. Together, they build one of the greatest engineering feats in history. Iron slabs rise like black mountains. Molten copper flows like fire between the cracks. Sparks blaze into the night sky. And at last, between 2 peaks, a wall is forged. So strong no man can climb, so vast no enemy can breach. A wall that seals away the terror. For now, the people rejoice. But Dhul-Qarnayn does not claim victory for himself. He does not revel in glory. Instead, he gives thanks to Allah, knowing the truth. This wall will one day fall, and when it does, no army on earth will be ready. Yet the legacy of Dhul-Qarnayn was never just iron walls and molten fire. It was his humility, his devotion, his refusal to be consumed by power. He ruled vast lands, yes, but he never let those lands rule him. A king guided not by pride, but by faith. But not all rulers shared that light. He built cities that scraped the heavens. He ruled with fire, fear, and the illusion of divinity. His name was Nimrod, the first man in history arrogant enough to believe he could rival the Creator himself. His empire rose in Babylon, a place of wealth, idols, and unchecked arrogance. He wasn't just a king, he was a tyrant. When his people bowed, he thought it his birthright. When they prayed, he demanded those prayers reach him. But one man stood in his way, Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Their battle was not fought with swords, but with truth. Ibrahim, who stood before Nimrod's throne and declared, my Lord is the one who gives life and causes death. Nimrod laughed. He brought forth 2 prisoners. He killed one, spared the other, and sneered, see, I too give life and I take it. But Ibrahim, calm and unshaken, replied, then bring the sun from the west. And in that moment the tyrant was silenced, because true power does not play tricks with men. True power commands the heavens themselves. But Nimrod's arrogance only deepened. In rage, he ordered a tower so tall it would pierce the skies. a monument of defiance against Allah. Brick by brick, slaves perished. Brick by brick, madness rose. He fired arrows into the heavens as if he could wound the Creator. But Allah's response was swift. The tower collapsed. The languages of men were divided. Babylon fell into chaos. And Nimrod? He rotted in the ruins of his own pride. But his end was not quick. It was humiliating. Allah sent against him not an army, not a beast, but a mosquito. Tiny, silent, invisible. It entered through his nose, into his skull, tormenting him day and night. No gold could cure him. No physician could save him. He smashed his head against stone just to feel a moment's relief, until death finally claimed him. Not as a god, not as a legend, but as a man destroyed by the very arrogance he thought made him divine. Because the higher man climbs without Allah, the harder he falls. That was Nimrod. He ruled empires, but he could never rule his own pride. And that is what killed him. Then came another storm, a king whose name carried terror across nations. His throne rose in Babylon, a city so powerful it seemed the very sun bowed at its gates. His name was Nebuchadnezzar, known in Arabic as Bukht-Nassar, a ruler whose iron fist could crush civilizations, and whose wrath left nothing but ashes in its wake. He did not seek counsel. He did not offer peace. When Nebuchadnezzar marched toward a land, there were only two choices: bow or burn. But he was not content with conquest alone. He sought to erase legacies, to wipe out names from memory itself. And when his eyes fell upon the house of Allah in Jerusalem, he did not see a sanctuary of worship. He saw a prize. The children of Israel had disobeyed their Lord, abandoned guidance, and turned to arrogance. And so Allah's decree came through Nebuchadnezzar, a whip of punishment in human form. He stormed Jerusalem with fury. He didn't just shatter walls, he reduced them to dust. He didn't just take prisoners, he shackled generations. The first temple, built by the hands of prophets, was torn down stone by stone under his command. Flames consumed the holy city. The cries of children echoed through smoke and rubble. And the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred trust carried through centuries, was lost. He dragged Banu Israel into exile, broken, bound, and humiliated. Their journey to Babylon was not one of days, but of despair, a punishment sealed in fate by their own defiance. Nebuchadnezzar stood on his balcony, watching the city burn, a cruel smile carved upon his face. But arrogance always writes its own downfall. His pride grew until he saw himself no longer as king, but as divine. So Allah struck him, not with armies, not with swords, but with madness. For 7 years, the king of Babylon roamed the wilderness like a beast. His nails grew into claws. His hair hung like feathers. His language abandoned him. His throne forgotten. He crawled on all fours, eating grass like cattle, until Allah, in his mercy, restored his mind. He ruled again, but he was never the same, because power without gratitude always ends in humiliation. Nebuchadnezzar ruled the world, but he also ruined it. He was not sent because he was righteous. He was sent because he was a reminder. When nations abandon the truth, Allah may send justice, even through the hands of a tyrant. But then came a ruler unlike any other. He ruled the earth, yet bowed to the heavens. His name was Suleiman, peace be upon him, prophet, king, and servant of Allah, a man whose dominion stretched across the seen and the unseen. His authority was unmatched. Men obeyed him. Animals answered him. Even the jinn, beings of smokeless fire, trembled before his command. But it all began not with a throne, nor with an army. It began with a prayer. My Lord, forgive me, and grant me a kingdom such as will not belong to anyone after me. Indeed, you are the bestower. And Allah answered. From that day, Suleiman was granted power unlike any before or after him. He spoke the language of birds. He understood the whispers of ants. He commanded the winds to carry him across vast lands in moments. And the jinn, once wild and arrogant, bent their will to his. They built palaces and fortresses at his command, monuments not to his ego, but to the greatness of Allah. But with every miracle, his humility only deepened. While kings before him demanded worship, Suleiman, peace be upon him, reminded the world, "This is by the favor of my Lord to test me. Will I be grateful or ungrateful?" He was not only powerful, he was wise. When a bird returned with news of a distant queen who worshipped the sun, he did not rush to war. He sent a letter, not a threat, not an ultimatum, but an invitation to truth. "Do not exalt yourselves above me, but come to me in submission to Allah." That message reached the Queen of Sheba. She came to his palace, proud, regal, skeptical. But when she entered his hall, she stopped in her tracks. She thought she was walking on water, yet the floor beneath her feet was glass, polished so perfectly it reflected the sky itself. No idol could explain this. No magician could craft it. In that moment, her pride melted, her heart opened, and she embraced the truth, not from fear, but because of what her own eyes had seen. That was Suleiman, a king who guided not by force, but by signs. And when his time came, he did not depart the world with noise or spectacle. He left in silence. Leaning on his staff, he stood watching as the jinn labored at his command. They feared him, obeyed him, believing his eyes were still upon them. But his soul had already returned to his Lord. He remained standing, lifeless, until a tiny creature, a termite, gnawed through the base of his staff. And then he fell. Only then did the jinn realize the truth. They had been working for a dead man. And if they had truly known the unseen, they would have stopped long ago. A final lesson from Allah: even the mightiest among men, even those who command winds, beasts, and jinn, still bow to the one king above all. Suleiman ruled the world, but he never forgot who gave him that kingdom. And that is what made him great, because power does not come quietly, crashes like thunder, it shakes hearts, changes men. It reveals what lies beneath the surface. Some wield it like armor, others like poison. The four kings who ruled the world, Dhul-Qarnayn, Suleiman, Nimrod, and Nebuchadnezzar, each held the same power in their hands, but what they did with it exposed who they truly were. Power is a mirror. It reflects what already lives within the heart. Dhul-Qarnayn was given dominion over east and west. He journeyed to the ends of the earth. He could have enslaved nations, demanded tribute, taken gold. But he didn't. He built walls to protect the weak. He chose service over greed. His heart was anchored in faith, and power only made him more righteous. Then came Nimrod. He saw power not as a responsibility, but as a ladder to the heavens. It swelled his ego, twisted his mind. He declared himself divine. He defied a prophet. He defied Allah. And in the end, the man who thought he could control the sun was destroyed by a mosquito. And then Suleiman, given a kingdom no one before or after him would ever possess. The wind, the jinn, the animals, he commanded them all. But with every miracle, Suleiman, peace be upon him, fell deeper into sujud. He never claimed it as his own. He knew it was a test. And when he stood before his people, he stood in gratitude, not pride. Then came Nebuchadnezzar. He ruled Babylon with fire and steel. He tore down Jerusalem, enslaved Bani Israel, and burned the sacred temple. He saw himself as invincible. But when arrogance overtook him, Allah reduced him to a crawling beast. He lost his mind, his crown, his dignity, because a crown does not rest only on the head, it weighs upon the soul. And if the soul is not grounded in truth, it collapses beneath the weight. That is what power does. It either humbles you or it hollows you. It turns some men into protectors and others into monsters. Dhul-Qarnayn ruled the world, yet remained a servant. Suleiman ruled the unseen, yet still begged Allah for forgiveness. But Nimrod and Nebuchadnezzar, they turned power into pride and pride into ruin. So what makes a king truly great? Is it the lands he conquers, the armies he commands, or the way he stands before his Lord when the world is already in his hands? Some rulers bend the world, others bend their knees, and only one of those paths leads to peace. Because true power is not found in what you can take, but in what you can walk away from. And those who truly ruled the world were the ones who first ruled their own hearts. They ruled empires. They commanded armies. Their words became law. Their names carved into stone. The world bowed at their feet. But no matter how high they rose, they all fell to the same place. The dirt, the grave, the silence. Because death does not care about crowns. It knocked on every one of their doors, and not one of them could keep it closed. Nimrod, the king who thought himself a god. He built towers to touch the heavens. He mocked prophets. He imagined he was immortal. But Allah sent against him a mosquito so small, so unseen. It entered his head, tore his mind apart. He died smashing his skull with stones, screaming for relief, not from armies, not from swords, but from one of Allah's smallest soldiers. Nebuchadnezzar, the tyrant who turned Jerusalem to ashes. He enslaved nations, destroyed sanctuaries, and thought himself untouchable. But his punishment came not from men, but from within. Madness stripped him of reason. His hair grew wild. His nails turned to claws. He roamed the fields like an animal until his arrogance broke, and he remembered who his Lord was. And what of Dhul-Qarnayn, the righteous king who spanned the earth, who built walls no enemy could climb, who led with wisdom and justice? His end came not in thunder, but in silence. No monuments, no armies, just a servant returning to his Lord, leaving behind a legacy of faith. Because in the end, it was never about crowns or thrones or armies. It was about the test of power, a test that breaks most men. But for a few it makes them great. No story remains of Dhul-Qarnayn's death, only his legacy. He did not chase glory. He fulfilled his mission and vanished into time, a silent ending for a humble soul. And Suleiman, peace be upon him, the prophet king, the man who spoke to birds, commanded jinn, and directed the winds. He did not die in weakness, but standing, leaning on his staff, overseeing the jinn as they labored. They thought he was still watching, still alive, but his soul had already returned to Allah. Only when a termite chewed through the wood did his body fall. And in that moment, the jinn realized the truth. Even the greatest among them was nothing more than a servant of Allah. For kings, for deaths, different paths, same ending. Because no matter how vast your empire, how feared your name, how golden your crown, you will leave it all behind. The throne becomes a coffin, the sword turns to dust, and all that remains is the record of your deeds. The day will come when every ruler is brought forward, not with armies, not with banners, not with parades, but alone, bare, silent. And on that day only one kingdom will remain, and only one king will speak. To whom belongs all sovereignty this day? To Allah, the One, the Irresistible. They ruled the world, but only for a moment. Dhul-Qarnayn walked to the ends of the earth, building walls to hold back chaos. Suleiman, ruled winds, jinn, and beasts, yet knelt in gratitude. Nimrod declared himself divine, and was destroyed by a whisper of Allah's power. Nebuchadnezzar burned temples and enslaved nations, only to crawl on all fours, broken like a beast in the fields. For kings, one world, but none of them carried their crowns into the grave, because the throne was never theirs to keep. Power is borrowed. Glory is temporary. Kingdoms fade like shadows at sunset. Men have always chased rulers. Nations have always chased greatness. But the true king was never one of them. He commands no army because he commands the angels. He owns no palace because the heavens and the earth are already his. He does not sit on a throne of gold, but on the throne that existed before time itself. Allah, the Eternal, the Sovereign of all. Every king, every emperor, every warlord who ever lived, rose by his permission and fell by his will. Some lifted as a reward, others raised as punishment, all of them a test. And now new kings rise, new thrones are built. Nations chant the names of rulers who seem untouchable. But wait, watch closely, they too will fall. Their voices will fade. Their names will be nothing but echoes in forgotten stone. because the world is not ruled by men. It never was. It belongs to the one who created it, the one who sustains it, and the one who will end it. So remember this, you don't need a crown to be remembered. You don't need an empire to matter. What you need is to know your king, because when the skies split open, when graves are overturned, when every soul is called forward, no one will care how many lands you ruled, only who you submitted to. And on that day, the only voice that will echo across creation is, to whom belongs all dominion this day? To Allah, the One, the Irresistible. For kings ruled the world, but only one king rules forever. Their legacies rose and fell like empires. But yours is still being written. If the story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, pass it on, because power fades, but faith lives on. Until next time, may your heart stay humble, your path stay guided, and may your crown belong only to the one who gave you life.